Debunking Hebrew Israelite claims one by one, coming up. What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy Faithful to God, and I'm here with my brother Willie. Willie, say what's up to the audience.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
So we are here again to debunk the falsehood of the various Hebrew Israelite groups out there, whether camp or non-camp. We are inviting Hebrew Israelites into the live stream. We want you to join this because we sincerely believe that this doctrine needs to be examined. We want you to see the critical mistakes in this ideology, and we want you to understand why in most iterations, in most instances, it is unsound. All right. And I appreciate all the love in the chat. And we appreciate all of you who are watching this. Please reshare this on social media so we can get our friends coming in here, so we can get people listening to this. We want to give them an opportunity to actually interact and in the chat if they're Christians, and if they're Hebrew Israelites, we want them to actually join the live stream. All right. Well, this live stream is going to begin primarily focusing in on the claims that Hebrew Israelites make, in particular, One West Hebrew Israelites. So these are not going to be full indictments of every single Hebrew Israelite, because not every single Hebrew Israelite believes the same things in terms of the tribes chart or salvation only being for Israel, or uh, so on and so forth. Hebrew Israelism is a very diverse spectrum of belief. You have different proponents that believe different things. Yes, they have the quirky belief of thinking that they're Israelites, but not every single proponent believes the white man is Esau. Not every single proponent believes blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans collectively are the Israelites. Not every proponent believes in Lashawan Kodash, or so on and so forth. But we're going to go ahead and start the critique. Willie and I had discussed this off air. Um, we're going to go and pick apart the 12 tribes chart, and we're going to begin by letting Willie explain to us, because he was in the original school that gave rise to that chart. Is that correct, Willie? The chart that all these camps use was originally concocted in the school that today calls itself the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Um, in ICGJC, man, if you could just kind of give people an overlay before we share our screen and we start going over the Bible verses. Willie, what does the ICGJC say about the 12 tribes chart breakdown? So for the record, we are criticizing their chart breakdown. We're not saying that we have a criticism against the notion of 12 tribes of Israel as laid out in the Bible. We have an issue with ICGJC and like-minded groups' interpretation of that, where they associate groups that are clearly not Israelites with the Israelites. So could you give people somewhat of an explanation of how these groups, in particular ICGJC, go about promoting the 12 tribes chart? What's their usual explanation, and how do they go about conveying that point in a roundabout way, in a summarized way? Yeah.
Okay, well, basically, that 12 tribes chart is contingent on two things, because you have the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which they say are the African Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, respectively, according to them, of course. That would be contingent on um, their breakdown of Deuteronomy 28:68 in regards to uh, how they use that scripture to say that that's fulfillment of the transatlantic slave trade, and also in the regards to the rest of the people on that 12 tribe sign, uh, their explanation for those people, the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans being the Northern Kingdom of Israel, is contingent upon their understanding of uh, their twisting rather of the book of Second Esdras in the King James Version Apocrypha, chapter 13, verses 40 through 45,
Mhm.
which they use as a proof text to say that the northern kingdom of Israel sailed to the Americas after the end of the Assyrian Empire. And at the time that they came here, there was no one here. Therefore, these tribes became the indigenous peoples of North America and Latin America.
Yeah, which is utterly false, as we well know. And there are several videos that debunk the Native Americans being Israelite thesis on my channel. We may even explore some of the clips from those videos, but in the meantime, what we're going to do is they go to Genesis 49 and Deuteronomy 33 to try to posit this idea that these people groups are the Israelites, really, because they'll claim that it's based on traits within the respective people groups. So they'll say things like Genesis 49 verse 5, Simeon and Levi are brethren, weapons of cruelty are in their habitations. Give the audience, while we bring that up on the screen, what is their explanation of Simeon and Levi are brethren, weapons of cruelty are in their habitations? How does ICGJC in particular go about explaining that verse?
All right, so Simeon and Levi are brethren. It's not in the sense that the two of them are blood brothers, because I mean, obviously Simeon and Levi were two blood brothers, sons of Jacob, but in ICGJC's case, they being Simeon and Levi are brothers, meaning they live on the same island, which is Hispaniola, uh, which is Haiti. One part of it is Haiti, the other part is the Dominican Republic. Um, Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. They say that the way that Ariel broke this down was that the instruments of cruelty is referring to Haitian voodoo or voodoo. Um, and they say that I've heard Ariel make reference to how in some old audio clips that used to be on the Holy Conception Unit about how the Haitians used voodoo in their battles against the French, but basically that the instruments of cruelty is talking about voodoo, which is really absurd when you really step back and look at this breakdown with logic, because you're basically saying, in order to identify Haitian people as a tribe of Levi, you're saying that they have instruments of cruelty, and that's voodoo, which is basically you're pretty much
So Willie,
generalizing all Haitian people as being practitioners of voodoo, which is, man, that's stereotypical.
yeah, Willie, before you continue on with that, because the way I've heard it explained by different camps, not ICGGC, but other groups, they'll say Simeon and Levi are brethren. So you notice that there's two people, Simeon and Levi, instruments of cruelty. Instruments of cruelty, they're going to say that's uh, Santeria and voodoo. Now, does the ICGJC include Santeria into that category along with voodoo?
Oh no, the way that I've heard it explained, they always just said voodoo and left it at there. They never mentioned Santeria.
Okay. So I've literally heard other groups say Santeria and voodoo, right? I can literally play audio clips of other camps saying that, right?
Right.
So let me deal with that, right? Let me just get this out the way. First of all, I asked ChatGPT, and this is for the groups that do promote this idea. I said, is Santeria the same religion as Dominican voodoo, i.e., 21 divisions? Was Santeria imported into the Dominican Republic? They are closely related, but they are not the same religion. Both developed from West and Central African religious traditions brought to the Caribbean during the Atlantic slave trade. But they have different histories, spirits, rituals, and cultural influences. And you guys can see it right here. Here's Santeria, originated in Cuba. Now, some might say, oh, well, maybe ChatGPT is making that up. Well, here's the Encyclopedia Britannica article on Santeria, And look what it says. Santeria, the most common name given to a religious tradition of African origin that was developed in Cuba and then spread throughout Latin America and the United States. So it began in Cuba. So according to those groups that make Santeria somehow, like voodoo and Santeria, like, or they'll try to act like 21 divisions is Santeria. No, Santeria and 21 divisions are actually two separate religious beliefs. While they have a lot of overlap in modern times, they started off as different practices. Santeria began in the island of Cuba, and then it was imported throughout Latin America. Whereas 21 divisions was essentially indigenous to or developed in the Dominican Republic. You see where it says developed primarily in the Dominican Republic? Over here, Santeria originated primarily in Cuba.
Right.
Even how it says rooted mainly in Yoruba religion, rooted mainly in Fan Eve traditions, Congo tradition, and influences from Yoruba and other African religions. Notice influence. So over here, the spirits are called Orisha, spirits are called Misterios or Loa, strongly associated with Catholic saints, but differently. All right. Closely related to Cuban Lukumi tradition, more closely related to Haitian voodoo, while remaining distinct. Did Santeria come to the Dominican Republic? Yes, Santeria is practiced in the Dominican Republic today, but is generally considered an imported religion rather than an indigenous Dominican tradition. This spread happened mostly during the 20th century through Cuban migration to the Dominican Republic. You see that? Travel and cultural exchange between Cuba, Puerto Rico, and Dominican Republic. Musicians, religious practitioners, and families moving between islands. More recently, media and internet. I just want to stop there because I wanted to show for the groups that do make that argument, they're showing their ignorance. At least I can say ICGJC at least took the liberty to not go that far because I think they probably realize that they're two separate religious beliefs. But there are One West groups that do try to say Santeria and voodoo. They'll actually make that argument. But let's go back here. Let's deal with this. First of all, none of this has to do with Santeria and voodoo or Dominicans and Haitians at all, right? So it says Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. Let's look at a more accurate translation of this, Brother Willie. This is the same passage in the ESV. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Weapons of violence are their swords. Now, why does it say swords? Let me explain to the audience why it says swords. These are two commentaries that deal with this passage. Eliot's commentary for English readers. Simeon and Levi are brethren. That is, they are alike in character and disposition, despising the feeble Reuben. They seem to have been close friends and allies, and probably tried to exercise a tyrannical authority over their younger brethren Judah, being the only one near them in age. Their habitation. This translation is universally abandoned, but there is a much difference of opinion as to the real meaning of the word. The most probable explanation is that given by Jerome and Rashi, which render it swords. Apparently, it is the Greek word macheria, a knife, and as neither the Hebrews nor the Canaanites were metallurgists, such articles were imported by merchants from Ionia. Long before the days of Jacob, caravans of traders traversed the whole country, and the goods which they brought would carry with them their own foreign names. The sentence, therefore, should be translated, weapons of violence are their knives. The other meaning given by competent critics, namely compacts, if the word could be formed at all from the supposed root, could mean marriage contracts, and this gives no intelligible sense. Now look at Cambridge Bible for schools and colleges. Simeon and Levi, these brothers were associated with the massacre of the Shechemites, to which reference is possible made in language of indignation. So we're going to go to that in a moment in Genesis 34 to give the actual context of what's going on there in Genesis 49, 5 through 7. And it says, swords, the Hebrew word, and it gives the Hebrew word there, occurs only here. Its similarity in sound to the Greek word, which was mentioned in the other commentary, a sword, has suggested the English rendering. If it be rightly derived from the root to dig, possibly the traditional rendering denoting a weapon is correct. The revised version, margin compacts, gives another conjecture and says the word must come from kara, probably to turn round, hence suggested a curved knife or saber. The obscurity accounts for the following variant readings. And so it gives there all of these different right here. But more importantly, realize that the sword one is probably the one that makes the most sense within the immediate context. And that habitation, as you see right here, we're going to go right here. This translation is universally abandoned. So nobody goes with the King James rendering because the King James rendering is using outdated information. Let's go here. This is the Net Bible, Genesis 49:5. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Weapons of violence are their knives. You notice this little footnote here. The meaning of the Hebrew word here, Mekera, is uncertain. It has been rendered habitations, merchandise, councils, swords, wedding feasts. If it is from the verb karat and formed after the noun patterns for instruments and tools, as you can see right here, then it would refer to knives. Since the verb is used in Exodus 4:25 for circumcision, the idea would be their circumcision knives, an allusion to the event of Genesis 34. Another explanation also connects the word to the events of Genesis 34 as a reference to the intended wedding feast for Dinah, which could take place only after the men of Shechem were circumcised. So none of the meanings have anything to do with Dominicans or Haitians. None of that is in view here. This ain't talking about voodoo or voodoo and Santeria. This is talking about weapons. And why is that the case? Let's go. Genesis 34. We're going to get the event that took place. And of course, because of the language, I'm not going to use a certain word that's used there. I'm going to use the word, well, I'm glad that here it is. It doesn't use the relevant word. It uses the word humiliated. Now, Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the women of the land. When Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her, he seized her and lay with her and humiliated her. Now, humiliated her is the word that rhymes with grape, if people are wondering. And his soul was drawn to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. He loved the young woman and spoke tenderly to her. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, "Get me this girl for my wife." Now Jacob had heard that they had defiled his daughter Dinah, and his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob held his peace until they came. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak to him. The sons of Jacob came in from the field as soon as they heard of it, and the men were indignant and very angry because he had done an outrageous thing in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, for such a thing must not be done. Of course, we agree. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, "The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him to be his wife. Make marriages with us. Give your daughters to us. Take our daughters for yourselves. You shall dwell with us, and the land shall be open to you. Dwell and trade in it, and get property in it." Shechem also said to her father and to her brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me, I will give. Ask me for a great bride price and a gift as you will, and I will give whatever you say to me. Only give me the young woman to be my wife." Now, Brother Willie, just let me point out something obvious. Notice that her being violated, the act of penetration in and of itself was not enough to make her that man's wife. So for the bug outs out there in the Hebrew Israelite side that say mere penetration alone equals marriage, there you have an example of where penetration cannot equal marriage, because here you have the men going to Jacob trying to get this woman's hand in marriage, even though, to use the old adage, the man forcefully, I got to use forcefully for what actually occurred, tasted the milk before he bought or purchased the cow, right? So notice that they're trying to get the hand in marriage. Now look what it says right here, 13. The sons of Jacob answered Shechem and his father Hamor deceitfully, because he had defiled their daughter Dinah. They said to them, "We cannot do this thing to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a disgrace to us. Only on this condition will we agree with you, that you will become as we are, by every male among you being circumcised. Then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to ourselves, and we will dwell with you and become one people." That means circumcision made them one people, which then leads in the future to those Gentiles that became one with the people. As you are, so shall the stranger be before the Lord. And that made them one people. Just like it says, we will become one people. Verse 17. But if you will not listen to us and be circumcised, then we will take our daughter and we will be gone. Their words pleased Hamor and Hamor's son Shechem. And the young man did not delay to do the thing, because he delighted in Jacob's daughter. Now he was the most honored of all his father's house. So Hamor and his son Shechem came to the gate of their city, spoke to the men of their city, saying, these men are at peace with us. Let them dwell in the land and trade in it. For behold, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters as wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only on this condition will the men agree to dwell with us to become one people. Every male among us is circumcised as they are circumcised. Will not their livestock, their property, and all their beasts be ours? Let us agree with them, and they will dwell with us. And all who went out of the gate of the city listened to Hamor and the son of Shechem, and every male was circumcised, all who went out of the city, out of the gates of his city. On the third day, when they were sword, the two sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and came against the city while it felt secure, and unalived all the males. They unalived Hamor and the son of Shechem with the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went away. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city because they had defiled their sister. They took their flocks and their herds and their donkeys and whatever was in the city and in the field, all their wealth, all their little ones and their wives, all that was in the houses, they captured and plundered. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, you have brought trouble on me by making me a stink to the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites and the Perizzites. My numbers are few, and if they gather themselves against me and attack me, I shall be destroyed, both I and my household. But they said, should he treat our sister like I'm going to say a harlot, to use that word rather than the one that's there. And let's go back to Genesis 49. Now we got a little bit of context. We're going to go back to verse 5. Now we got some context. Remember, who were the ones that unalived Shechem and Hamor in their household? Simeon and Levi. Who is the one speaking here? Then Jacob said to his sons, right? Notice it says that Jacob is the one that's speaking. Jacob rebuked them at the end of that chapter. Verse 5 begins with Jacob saying, Simeon and Levi are brothers, weapons of violence are their swords. Let my soul come not into their counsel. O my glory, be not joined to their company. For in their anger they unalive men, and in their willfulness they hamstrung oxen. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Now, how would this make any sense about dividing and scattering in Israel if the immediate context is supposedly Dominicans and Haitians? That makes no sense, right, Brother Willie? There's no way to make sense of that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You know, and I was just going to say the reason why ICGJC and all these other Hebrew Israelite groups think that this is talking about modern day Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is because in the when you go up to the first verse of
in the King James, it says last days. Yeah.
Right. They think that that's talking about the time that we're living in now.
Now, let me show the audience this. Then Jacob called his sons, this is a more accurate translation, and said, gather yourselves together that I may tell you what shall happen to you in days to come. Brother Willie, where were the people of Israel during this time when Jacob spoke those words? What land were they in? Remember, there was a famine in the land of Canaan. Where were they settled in?
They went to, well, Jacob and his sons were in Egypt.
They were in Egypt. This is literally occurring in the land of Egypt. So he's telling them what shall happen to you in days to come. In other words, when the people return back to the land, because when they left the land, that wasn't yet fully their land. They hadn't vanquished the Canaanites, right? They hadn't conquered the land, correct?
Right.
So when they went back after the Exodus event, during the time of Joshua and the people, when they returned to the land, remember Moses was not allowed to go back to the land because of him hitting the rock. So he was forbidden from going into the land of promise. So when Joshua and the people went into the land and they took the land from the Canaanites, then they began to settle the land and they began to do the divisions between the various tribal groups. So all of this is going to be in reference to what's going to happen to them when they are in their land. This has not yet occurred yet. Now, this is what's interesting. It talks about scattering them, dividing them in Jacob, scattering them in Israel. Now, Brother Willie, it's interesting, right? Because these groups will read this and they won't even bother to give a valid explanation when it comes to that passage, right? Like it seems most of these groups, when they're reading that passage, will kind of almost gloss over it. They'll almost overlook it. Now, I'm going to give everybody an explanation. Let's go to Numbers 18. Let's deal with Levi first, the most obvious one. We're going to go to Numbers 18, and I believe it's verse 20. Verse 20 reads as follows. And the Lord said to Aaron, you shall have no inheritance in their land, neither shall you have any portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the people of Israel. To the Levites I have given every tithe in Israel for an inheritance, in return for their service that they do, their service in the tent of meeting, so that the people of Israel do not come near the tent of meeting, lest they bear the sin and die. But the Levites shall do the service of the tent of meeting, and they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a perpetual statute throughout your generations, and among the people of Israel they shall have no inheritance. So the Levites did not have any inheritance, meaning land inheritance in and of themselves. They didn't have their own designated landmass. They had to dwell in the land of the other tribes within the land of Israel, correct?
That's correct.
So that's the first explanation. Now, the one that we're going to give here, let me actually pull it up real quick. The one that we're going to give here for, I believe it is Simeon, is going to be in, I believe it's Joshua chapter, I believe it's chapter 19. Yes, it is chapter 19. So this is when they were in the land, Joshua 19. And look what it says right here when we go to verse, let me see. Yeah, verse 9. The inheritance of the people of Simeon formed part of the territory of the people of Judah, because the portion of the people of Judah was too large for them. The people of Simeon obtained an inheritance in the midst of their inheritance. So notice they didn't even have their own real inheritance. They had to receive it from another tribe. So scattered and divided in Israel. This is how we properly explain this. Do you see how we were very easily, just by going to the scriptures and having context, able to explain these passages? These groups don't actually have a good explanation for this, because they'll act like, oh, this is cyclical. So, because last days, they're interpreting Genesis 49:1 because it says last days in the King James as meaning like end times. But it's not talking about the end times. It's talking about days to come. Just like it says, look, we're going to go right back. Genesis 49, more accurate translation. This is the way that you defeat a Hebrew Israelite in their bad argument. You don't grant them the King James. You make them have to reconcile their viewpoints and explain to them, why does it say here days to come? Are they in the land of Israel at this point? Would it make sense to just jump 3, 4, 5,000 years into the future? No, it would make sense to have the immediate context in view, that they're in the land of Egypt. They're not in the land of Canaan. It hasn't been conquered yet. They haven't formed their territorial boundaries there yet. That happened in the future. Thus, this is how we give a proper explanation. This is how we debunk the nonsense that these guys promote. And more importantly, let me do something real quick if I could. Because Dominicans and Haitians. Well, let's look at Dominicans. This is an article called Why Haplogroup Diversity of the Dominican Republic, Reconstructing the Effects of the European Colonization and the Transatlantic Slave Trades. Now, I want to show you guys something. Most Hebrew Israelites are ignorant of this. It says, the Dominican Y haplogroup, that's the father side, father to son, father to son. They'll claim you are what your father is. Let's see what the father side starting point of most Dominicans is. The Dominican Y haplogroup composition was characterized by an excess of North African European lineages, 59%. That's the majority, followed by the African clades, 38%, whereas the Native American lineages were rare, 3%. The comparison with the mitochondrial, that's the mother side DNA, variability dominated by African clades. That means most of the Dominicans' mother side is African. Most of their father side is European. Revealed a sex-based admixture pattern in line with the colonial society dominated by European men. That means the colonizers were sleeping with the women that were taken from West and Central Africa, in a lot of cases against their will, and they were forming the mixed race population of the Dominican Republic. Those mixed race people kept intermarrying with those Western Central African descended people. And that's why you get your Dominicans very dark skinned, but most of them on the father side descend from the Spanish. That's a cut, because it shows that Dominicans on their father side are not the same people by majority as the majority of the people that actually descend from the slaves on their father's side that were taken to the island of Hispaniola. Most of your Haitians on the father's side are West African. Most of your Dominicans on the father's side are not West African. That's a cut. There's no getting around that. Brother Willie, what do you think, man? You think we made our point?
Yeah, I mean, that's that's as clear as that is. I just gotta say this. These Hebrew Israelite groups, especially ICGC, they'll try to say that, it's they try to say that we're a mix of Spanish and African and indigenous, but that's a lie. We're straight up descendants of the tribes of Israel. I mean, how you can't, none of those guys can even prove that about themselves. And we clearly see here with the empirical evidence that you can't get around, as horrible as it was, let's just be honest, you can't get around the brutal reality of what the Spaniards did.
Yeah. Now, this is the part about it right now. And I guarantee you, these guys that are leaving comments in the chat that are getting timed out, I bet you none of them will come in here because they're going to get timed out. You don't get a chance to just hide out in the chat. You see that link right there? That's the join link. I want you to jump in here. I don't want you to sit out there. You come into this live stream and we'll correct you with the Bible and history, accurate history, not your bugged out Johnny come lately misunderstanding of history. And we'll see which one of us has all the facts on their side. So I want to see if any of our Johnny come lately friends are going to come in here. We've been going for 32 minutes and not one of these jokers have come into this live stream to actually stand on business and defend their false beliefs. Gee, I wonder why, Willie. You think they're afraid? It sounds like these guys are afraid. Does it sound like they're afraid, Brother Willie?
That's exactly what it is. They want to run their mouth and talk from afar on social media platforms. When push comes to shove and it's time for them to put their money where their mouth is, they don't want to deal with having to defend what they stand on in real time.
Exactly. So let's do the following real quick. Let's go right back. Let's go and deal with Deuteronomy 28, man. Let's see if any of these jokers are going to come in here and stand on business, or are they going to just keep complaining and whining and crying and acting like, oh, you won't let us talk. Yeah, if you come in here, you'll get a chance to talk. We're going to correct you, though. You're going to get corrected. Hold on, me sharing the wrong screen. Let me share this other screen. So I want you guys to come in here because I want to see how you actually defend against this. I don't believe you have a defense. I believe you have a lot of coping because you want to believe in this lie. But if you actually could stand on your square, you would actually come in here. Now, Brother Whitley, let's actually do the following. Let's start with the beginning of Deuteronomy 28. Most of them don't even focus on the blessings. Let me ask you something. How many times? Okay, I see we finally got somebody in here. Hold on. What's going on, Matt? What's up, man?
Hey, what's up?
Are you a Christian or are you a Hebrew Israelite?
I'm a Messianic.
So are you a Hebrew Israelite? Do you believe that
No,
you're an Israelite?
I'm not. I'm
Okay.
I'm what you call a fake Jew, Ashkenazi.
Oh, fake Jew. Well,
Yeah,
this live stream is for us to talk with Hebrew Israelites. So we would appreciate it if
I'm just
you're not a
listening.
Hebrew Israelite. I got you. All right, man. You can listen from the outside. Take it easy, man. We want to have conversations with Hebrew Israelites. What's going on, T? What's up, man?
How you doing? Am I clear?
Yeah, you're loud and clear, bro. What's up, man? Are you a Christian or are you a
Yes.
Hebrew Israelite?
No, I mean I'm an Israelite.
Okay, I got you. I do got to ask
Just
this
like
question
you.
because, hold on, brother. Just hear me out for a second. Let me lead the conversation because it's my channel. I'm going to give you
Yes.
a chance to talk, but just let me lead because it's for the audience and I want to ensure that they hear me and they hear you. I'm going to let them hear you. I promise I'll let them hear you. You'll get a chance to speak. Even if
Yes.
we agree to disagree, we'll be respectful to each other. But all I ask is that respect be shown in the conversation as far as allowing each other to speak. So just hear me out though. I don't know you, so I'm only asking these questions because I do not know you. If we've talked before, brother, I don't remember because I talked to so many different people. Um, have we talked before or have we never talked?
Um, um, we haven't.
Okay. So I'm only asking these questions because I don't know you. Because if I knew you, if I knew your viewpoint, automatically I would just be like, okay, I know you believe this, but do you believe salvation is only for Israel?
Yes.
Okay. So I know I'm dealing with somebody who holds to a racist ideology. I'm just gonna keep it funky with you. I know you don't think your ideology may be racist, but we certainly believe your ideology is racist. Um, what is your evidence of being an Israelite? Because if you believe salvation is only for Israel, then you need to demonstrate that you are the people that can receive salvation. So what's your evidence of that?
On the evidence is the Lord gave the law to Moses, and he
I
told the
mean,
Israelites.
uh-huh.
Yes, yes, he told the
No, go ahead.
Israelites. He told them. He told them, if you do the commandments, I will put you on top, and if you don't, I, I will put curses on you. And the curses is in Deuteronomy 28. And the curses is like a sign. For example, how do I know? For for example, how do I know if I'm at Walmart? It's a sign that says Walmart. How do I know if I'm at Food Line? It's a sign that says Food Line. The curses is like a sign to identify who the people are, because the people will forget who they are.
There's no verse that says that people are going to forget who they are. That's number one. If you're referring to Deuteronomy 32:26, that's not talking about them forgetting who they are. All you have to do is read Deuteronomy 32:27. When you read it here, let me actually go there real quick. And we'll go back to 28 because I got it on my screen. Deuteronomy
Mhm.
32:27 reads as follows. And we'll read also Jeremiah 17:4, because I know that's another one that's misused by Hebrew Israelites. Deuteronomy 32:26. I would have said, I will cut them to pieces. I will wipe them from human memory. Had I not feared provocation by the enemy, lest their adversaries should misunderstand, lest they should say, our hand was triumphant. It was not the Lord who did all this. In other words, Moses is saying here, God would have cut them to pieces and wiped them from human memory. Had it not been that their enemies, their adversaries, the other nations would have taken credit for it, because God's instrument to judge Israel was always, or not always, most of the time, the other nations. And the other nations would have taken credit for it. If he would have used the other nations to utterly destroy them, they would have said, we did this. Their God did not do this. That's why he did not utterly destroy them, according to the passage here. This is what this is actually conveying. This is not conveying the idea, oh, they're going to forget who they are. Do you see how this was easy to understand when we read a little more accurate of a translation? Not that the King James is inaccurate here. A lot of you misread the King James English there, because this is conveying essentially the same thing the King James is conveying. There's no difference really. This is just
Yes.
in modern English telling you what the old English and what the, more importantly, what the Hebrew underneath is actually saying.
Yes. The part about them forgetting who they are is found in Isaiah chapter 1 verse 3. The curses is found in Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15 and 68. So
Yeah,
in
Isaiah 1 and 3 isn't
so
talking about them forgetting either. That's not at
okay,
all them forgetting their identity here. Let's read it together.
yes.
This is Isaiah chapter 1, starting at verse 1. The vision of the Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, the kings of Judah. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord has spoken. Children I have reared and brought up, but they have rebelled against me. The ox knows its owner, and the donkey its master's crib, but Israel does not know. My people do not understand. It doesn't say Israel has forgotten who they are. It's talking about that they had forsaken God. It doesn't mean they have forgotten their identity. Look, as we read in verse 4, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, offspring of evildoers, children who deal corruptly, they have forsaken the Lord. They have despised the Holy One of Israel. They are utterly estranged. Not they have forgotten who they are and their nationality. Do you see how we know
Okay.
that this is your... Hold on. You notice I'm still talking.
Mhm.
Here, let me help you out. Notice that the passage is talking about them forsaking God, not them forgetting who they are. So your interpretation of that is also wrong. So that's two interpretations that you've given that do not reflect the original author's intended purpose. And I can tell that you haven't read this whole chapter, because this whole chapter is talking to those same people and identifying them as being the people of Israel. But when they were in iniquity, they were likened unto Sodom and Gomorrah. But they knew exactly who they were, because the passage tells them about them keeping Sabbaths and feasts while they were also doing these abominations. Clearly, they know who they are. So your interpretation is wrong. So what else do you got? You said
Yes.
Deuteronomy 28. You said Deuteronomy
What's your
28.
nationality?
I'm Puerto Rican.
What is your nationality?
You're what? You were breaking up.
Yeah, hello? Are you there?
Yeah, you were breaking up. Say that again.
Yes. Yes. I said I said what
Yeah,
is
calm
your
down, man. You sound a little jittery.
nationality?
Yeah, Puerto Rican. Yeah, you sound a little jittery. You might want to calm down. I don't know if you had a little bit of coffee before you came in here, but I want you to kind of calm it down a little bit, because I want you to just focus. So I'm Puerto Rican.
Oh no, no.
Do you
Oh
believe?
no.
Hold on. I
Okay,
hear you.
so
T. Hold on, T. You notice I'm
yes.
still talking, right? Do you believe in the 12 tribes chart breakdown, like the one that the
Yes,
camps do?
absolutely.
Okay. I
Yes,
have a
absolutely.
question for you. Yeah, I have a question for you. How do you reconcile
Uh-huh.
that most Latinos on their father's side and most Native Americans on their father's side are not the same people as the majority of the people that were taken as slaves to the Americas?
Your bloodline, it goes by your father,
I
and
understand.
is
Did you just hear what? Did
documented.
you hold on,
And
brother? I know it goes by the father. We just did a whole presentation where we explained that. You're not answering my
okay,
question though. How do you reconcile the reality that most Latinos on their father's side are completely different people? They have a completely different starting point with a completely radically different people group than the overwhelming majority of Native Americans and the majority of the people that were taken as slaves to the Americas on their father's side. Those three people groups are not the same people by majority on their father's side. Those of, as you guys like to say, Negro and indigenous descent, they're not the same people paternally.
at one point, Latinos and Native Americans were as dark as Negroes. You guys, you guys, you guys assimilated with the Assyrians, and your skin got lighter. So at one point, you was as dark as me, and you would descend, and we all come from our father named Jacob. So, I mean, it's plain and simple.
I don't think it's plain and simple, because what you just did is invoke skin color, and skin color is irrelevant when we're talking about the seed of the father, and you should know that.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I would like, you notice I'm still talking to you, right? I don't need you to ad lib. I hear you. I hear that you're agreeing, but just let me finish, because that throws me off. So we have a problem, man, because I asked you the question: Latinos on their father's side, including brown skinned Latinos, dark skinned Latinos, Dominicans
Ah,
that darn near look, no, listen,
yeah, yes,
Dominicans
yes.
that bro, hold on, bro. Let me help mute your mic, man, because I just want you to listen for now. Dominicans that look as dark as Haitians, that are morphologically, phenotypically almost identical to Haitians, 59% of Dominican men, I'm going to show it on my screen. 59% of Dominican men on their father's side are descendants of Europeans on the father's side. On the mother's side, that's where most of their West African component is coming from. Look at this on the screen. Do you see this right here? The Dominican Y haplogroup, that's the father side, father to son, father to son. The Dominican Y haplogroup composition was characterized by an excess of North African European lineages, 59%, followed by the African clades, 38%, whereas the Native American lineages were rare, 3%. The comparison with the mitochondrial DNA, that's the mother side DNA, variability, dominated by African clades, revealed a sex-based admixture pattern in line with the colonial society dominated by European men. That means most Dominicans on their father's side are not the same people as the majority of Haitians. The majority of Haitians are the descendants of West and Central African peoples. The majority of Dominicans on the father's side are not the descendants of West and Central African people, but the descendant of the colonizer that did bad things to West and Central African women. That's a cut. Go ahead, man.
The Latinos and Native Americans are the.
Are you gonna deal with
are
what
the
I just
northern.
brought out?
The no. Yes, I'm dealing with it now. Like, you guys mix with Assyrians and you're lighter. So there's no European.
Brother, this is the children
skin
getting lighter
when the
is not the
Europeans
argument.
came.
Bro, you're not listening. We're
Okay,
not talking
what is
about
the?
skin. We're not talking about skin getting lighter. That is superfluous. Your skin color does not
Okay.
determine who you originally descended from. Your skin on the father's side,
Absolutely.
your skin color has no bearing on who you ultimately descend from, because you guys are the first ones to bring up Bob Marley had dark skin, but on his father's side, he descends from a white man. So what you descend from is what you should be focusing in on. If European men gave rise to the majority of Dominican men, then focusing on skin color should be the least of your concern right now. Do you understand me? Okay, so
But
how do you
the point
reconcile
is-
Dominican men? How do you reconcile most Dominican men, including dark-skinned Dominicans? How can they be the tribe of Simeon if most of them descend from the colonizer, including dark-skinned men, including men that look black?
Yes, in the Latino.
Willie, is he breaking up or is that me?
No, it's me.
It's him.
Yeah, it's me.
Hey, bro, listen.
So,
Listen, bro. We need you to fix your connection. So can you try fixing your connection? Because I see someone else, Nashawn, and we're gonna have a conversation with him because it's kind of tedious because you cut in and out, and it becomes.
I'm saying I'm still here. I just haven't. Like, the point is, like.
Hey, hold on, T. I want you.
Yes.
I want you to fix your connection. I'm gonna bring you back in a little bit, okay? I'm gonna have a conversation with him. I'm gonna see if his connection is stronger than yours. Once you get your connection a little more settled, yeah. When you get your connection fixed. When you get your connection fixed, we'll bring you back in. Nashawn, what's going on, man?
Yeah, what's up?
What's going on, man?
Yeah,
Are you so based on the name, I'm assuming you're a Hebrew Israelite?
Yes, I am.
Do you also agree with the gentleman that
deal with the salvation of
Hold on, bro. You notice that I'm the one dictating how we have this conversation. So do you agree with the gentleman that was just in here that salvation is only for Israel?
Yes.
Okay. What is your evidence of being an Israelite?
Well, first off, you gotta understand one thing. The curses of Deuteronomy coincide with what our nationality truly is.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
It does not. You want me to show you how it doesn't?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to ask you the following question. Are you what they call so-called African American?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to use the term African Americans so this way we don't confuse the audience, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do African Americans fit all the curses, most of the curses, or some of the curses?
Well, all because I truly believe that we are the people of the book.
All
so
the
I
curses,
would say
okay.
all, but
okay,
at
I have
one
another
point
question.
in time or another.
No, that answer suffice for me. Yeah, that answer suffice for me, man.
Because at one part of another, like some curses are inland and some curses are outside of land.
All of these curses have the land in view, including the curse to be taken from the land, which is off land. you have to be taken from the land of Israel according to this chapter in order for it to even be applicable, because the people are being taken from their land to the land of their enemies. So every one of these curses has the land in view in one shape, form, or fashion. Every one of them. So Western Central African people were, I'm
And
not
you
done,
are
brother.
right.
You
You
notice
are
I'm
right.
still,
You are right.
I'm still talking. You notice I'm
All right,
still
go ahead. Go
talking,
ahead.
right?
Go ahead. I'm calm.
Yeah, I would
Go
like
ahead.
to finish my thought and not have you interrupt me in the midst of my speech. Thank you. So Western Central African people that gave rise to African Americans were in Western Central Africa before there was an Israel, before there was even an Abraham. Have you ever looked into the Bantu expansion?
I think I've read about it before, but at the same time, I gotta remind you, I bring you up to date that you have certain African tribes in Africa to this very day that claim descent from Israel and claim Israelite culture.
So I don't think you're paying attention to what I'm asking you. We'll deal with that in a moment.
I'm answering it straight up. I'm answering it straight up
So
because
I'm going to ask you this question. The Bantu expansion took place with Proto-Bantu speakers and later Bantu speakers who migrated, who were already in Western Central Africa, and they migrated throughout the various parts of the continent. And when I say they were already in Western Central Africa, I mean in the basin of the Congo and those surrounding regions. And they make their way in Nigeria, and they make their way into places like Southeast Africa, South Africa. Now, this is how you end up getting groups like your Zulus and those other groups, because those groups are derived from Bantu and Proto-Bantu speakers. So the reason I bring that up is because on the father's side, they have a particular genetic marker known as E1B1A. Non-Bantu speakers are also in Western Central Africa dominantly E1B1A.
Most
give me a chance African Americans.
I'm going to get a chance to rebuttal this.
I'm going to finish my thought here. Most African Americans, most Western Central African people, and most Bantu speakers are E1B1A. Do you understand that that particular marker existed in these people groups, and it is not found in high frequencies in Western Asia? We don't have ancient samples of it in Western Asia. That's the Levant and your surrounding regions, Mesopotamia. Do you understand that if your people were somehow the Israelites, we would be expecting to find that particular genetic marker in cadaver records? We would be expecting to also find linguistic evidence, and we don't. There's no Semiticisms in the languages of Bantus or Niger Congolese speakers. All the evidence that we would expect to find, we're not finding it. And on top of that, the Bantu expansion took place before Abraham was born. Abraham was born in the 20th dynasty, around that time frame, or 20th century BC, not dynasty, 20th century BC. The Bantu expansion took place before that. So how can your people be the descendants of Abraham if they pre-exist in a people group that existed in Western Central Africa before there was an Abraham?
All right, let me get my rebuttal.
Go ahead.
First and foremost, you gotta understand what I'm trying to say. There's African tribes in Africa to this very day who are black, who to this day practice Israelite culture and claim to be of Israelite lineage. Just like you look up the map, the Negro land map.
That's debunked in my channel. If you're talking about the Judah map, that's not talking about the tribe of Judah. So I have a video on my channel debunking that.
Let me just elaborate. Let me just finish what I'm about to say.
I hear you, but I have a video debunking that though.
Okay, right. But listen, at one point or another, we can see instances to where there's an Israelite presence in these countries. Now, the kingdom of Judah, or well, they call it also Wedah, they were conquered by another tribe, and it was called the Phone tribe. Right, you get what I'm saying? And that's when they gave rise to the kingdom of Dahomey. But to this very day, we got to this very day, we have the Dahomey Jews who have their own central temple where they sacrifice animals, have many laws engraved on tablets and placed on the walls of the temple. they have their own Chumash, first 5 books of Moses, written in Hebrew letters, in the Hebrew language. To this very day, the Dahomey Jews do, and have a family of high priests that go from door to door, rendering educational and religious instruction. To this very day, there's still the homemade Jews, people who have a central temple where they sacrifice animals. They do animal sacrifice, and they have many laws from the Bible engraved on tablets and on their temple walls. And they have their own Chumash, first 5 books of Moses, written with Hebrew letters, written in Hebrew. You do know that, right?
Here, I want to show you something because I realize that you're parroting a lot of talking points from other people, but I'm going to bring out some scholarship that's
No,
going
no,
to
no. I read that out of a book.
No, I would like you to here. Can you mute your mic for a second? Because I have refutations for everything you're going to say, everything, including those old documents, because I have videos that go into it. If you try to bring up the Portuguese Jews, I'm going to have a refutation. If you bring up maps, I have a refutation. If you try to say Israel was in Africa, I got a refutation. If you try to make appeals to West African groups claiming Israelite descendancy, I have refutations. Let's read this together. This is from the book right here. Do you see the book right here on the bottom? It says The Black Jews of Africa, History, Religion, Identity by Edith Bruder. Look what it says right here. The groups in question are located, in different African countries. I refer particularly to the Zakor movement in Timbuktu and Mali, the Igbo of Nigeria, the House of Israel in Ghana, the Tutsi Hebrew of Rwanda, the Lemba of South Africa, the Zimbabwe, and the Abadu Yaya Uganda, and others, including that group that you just mentioned, who claim mutatis mundandis to have Jewish identity in radically different ways over time and place. So I'm going to skip ahead to this part. Interest in the subject has to some extent been triggered by recent events, not the least the worldwide concern that the departure of Beta Israel from Ethiopia to Israel generated in the 1980s and 1990s, and their subsequent history in the Jewish state. The exodus and recognition of the Ethiopian Jews, identified as the lost tribe of Dan, have led to an interest to similar lost tribe identity developments in other parts of Africa. Tudor Parfit and Emanuela Trevisan Semi considered that the implied universalism in such construct has had the effect of stimulating a wider discourse in which the idea of a universalistic Judaism has been prominent, end quote. With the exception of the Ruwaspi Jews in Zimbabwe, the Abadu Yaya of Uganda, and the Lemba in South Africa, none of the African groups considered in this study identified themselves as Jews before the 1980s. Let me say that again. With the exception of the Ruwaspi Jews of Zimbabwe, the Abadu Yaya of Uganda, and the Lemba in South Africa, none of the African groups considered in this study identified themselves as Jews before the 1980s. Since this mentioned the Lembas, are you aware that the Lembas in Tudor Parfit's book on pages 157 through 165, do you know that in that book, they have the oral tradition of saying that they are the white men from Senna because they believe that they descended from non-black Jews? Are you aware of that? Did our friend just leave? Brother Willie, did he leave?
Yeah, he left.
Huh. Okay. So I said we got another gentleman in here. He's got a shaky camera, and I'm gonna bring T back in here. Or is this a gentleman? No, this is a woman. I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought it was a man. I'm sorry. My apologies to you. Are you able to hear us?
One moment.
Okay.
I want to fix my shaky camera for you. One moment.
I got you.
Let me
Yeah, man.
fix my shaky camera.
Oh, man.
Hold on.
I know, man. We need you to kind of have your stuff ready, but I got you.
What is happening?
Okay, wait, hold on. Before you do that, while you fix that, we're gonna bring in another gentleman just for now. We're gonna bring in TT. We're gonna see if your connection is steady now. Is your connection better now, man? T? Now we can't hear T. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Sis, give us 1 second. We're gonna bring you in a moment. We were the gentleman that left, he came back in, so we're gonna continue the conversation with him. Then I'm gonna bring you in, okay? Okay. I guess she can't hear us. Nashawn, what's going on? You had dropped out, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I clicked the button on accident. Yeah, so what I was gonna say was you
Did
say
you hear
between
what
you
I
say
did?
you
Hold
say
on, brother.
before the
Did you hear,
1980
hold on,
there
brother.
was no yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's on the screen. Yeah. And I had another thing that I asked you. Have you ever read Tudor Parfit's Black Jews in Africa and the Americas by any chance?
That they came across black Jews from Africa.
No, brother. Listen to what I just asked you. I need you to listen
Yeah, go
closely.
ahead.
Listen slowly. Have you ever read Tudor Parfit, the historian Tudor Parfit's book, Black Jews of Africa and the Americas? Have you ever read that book?
No, I have not. But I would like to give my
Okay.
rebuttal to, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, I need you to deal with some of the things I brought out. I don't want you to gloss over them. If you keep
No, I'm not
glossing
gonna go.
over what
I'm gonna head to the straight
brother,
to the
I don't
point.
need you to get triggered. Just mute your mic while I'm talking, man. All right.
All right.
I mean, bro, like that's I don't know if you realize I'm letting you talk. I have interrupted and I catch myself. I'm like, you know what? I should give him the same courtesy. And I am trying to give you the same courtesy. But bro, if you don't start giving me the same courtesy, you're not gonna be in here much longer. I like to have reasonable conversations. I want to be able to have a reasonable dialogue. I want to show people why your beliefs are absurd. I think your beliefs are absurd, but I want to give you a chance to talk, though. I want you to be heard, but I also want to be heard. All right. So I'm going to do the following, man. So I'm going to show you Tudor Parfit's book, where the Lembas themselves say they have an oral tradition saying that they're the white men from Senna. Were you aware that the Lemba had that belief, that they believed that they were descended from white Jews?
Really don't care because I have so much more information to look at more than the limbo.
You
And I
have
have I
a
ain't
lot of
mentioned nothing about
information
the
that I
limbo.
already have
I
responses
ain't
for,
mentioned nothing about
but
the
I
limbo. I
noticed
don't
that
care
you
for the
don't have
limbo. I
responses
have
for
many
what
much more
I'm
information to get out.
I noticed that you don't have responses for what I'm showing you. You notice
Yes, I
that
heard
I'm
what you said. I heard
responding
what
to
you said.
your
They claim
assertions.
that they
Yeah,
come
I'm
from the white
responding to
people.
your
Yes.
assertions here. So this way people can hear me and not hear you talking over me. You don't have responses for the things that I'm presenting to you. You have a lot of assumptions, but I have responses for your assumptions and your ignorant appeal to old sources. You don't have responses for what I'm showing you, though. If you cannot deal with what I'm showing you, then it's going to make the conversation tedious. I would prefer that you say, man, I got to look into that rather than pretending like, well, yeah. Well, what about this? What about that? Like, no, brother, deal with what I'm presenting you, just like I'm directly dealing with your claims. I'm responding to your claims. You're not actually dealing with mine. You're just trying to throw more spaghetti at the wall and then hoping that I clean up the spaghetti. And then you throw more spaghetti and then I clean up that spaghetti. No, deal with what I'm showing you. How do you reconcile what I'm showing you?
Don't know. I really don't know that you say Limba said they come from white men.
You want me to show
Trust
you
me,
it?
from hearsay, I can't speak too much about the Limba because what I believe and what I know, I believe is past just speaking about the Limba tribe themselves.
Do you believe that the Lembas are Israelites?
There could be a possibility, very much possibility that they are.
What's the possibility? Is it just because they're black?
Well, not specifically because they're black, because they do have an oral tradition that a culture that's very much similar or the same to the people of the Bible. It's very true, but there's so much more. Like for example, we deal with the Dahomey Jews that we were just speaking about. I want to read some just real quick.
Which I just debunked because I read an article from a scholar that debunked that claim.
Because
Because
it
if
said
those
that
people,
before 1980, right? Before
yeah.
1980,
So
nobody claimed that, right?
do you have any written evidence that those people were claiming themselves to be Jews, not other people claiming that they're Jews? I think you're confusing those two categories.
I do. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
what
And I like
evidence
to
do
read
you
that. And I
have?
like to
What
elaborate on that.
evidence do you I want you to tell me your source before you read it. What's your source?
I mean, I mean, I don't have the people themselves actually saying that, but it's just like, yeah.
So you
There's a
don't
book
have
I
any
have read.
evidence. You just have hearsay. You don't actually have evidence. You don't have any written documentation showing that before the 1980s. You just have somebody told me so, and therefore I'm just gonna go with what they said, but not. I'm gonna show you tangible proof.
Well, history has been recorded by somebody has to record history. A lot of things that we believe today and know as to be fact from history is written down by the history from historical records by people who were once here, who tell the story and elaborate on the story of mankind. That's to do with where people come from, their traditions, their cultures. It's just not. It's just right. Even all the history we know today is given to us by people who were heretofore, who ruled about things, who rule about things, and that's how we believe things today. Wrapping it up at us and that. That's what we do. That's how we come up with the things we believe. It has to be said by somebody. Just like this is like I was just reading right here. Mission to Galil,
before you continue going, I just want to establish a point. I want to reiterate what you just said. See, you got the history and the people write, but see, I got a claim, but people have, I imagine they've written things, but then, you can't find the like, bro, like, do you understand that all you did there is skirt around giving me the people themselves claiming that they were the Israelites before the 1980s, the people themselves, not other people writing about them. I don't want you to show me what some explorer or some colonizing group asserted incorrectly, assumed about a group. I want you to give me the people themselves, the people that you spoke of, making that assertion about themselves. Do you have any writings that came from them directly?
From historians. I have historians who have said at one point or another that there was 115 towns in Judah, in the tribe of Judah and Dahomey.
Okay.
Like you read the story right here.
Listen closely. You're giving me what someone else speculated about the group. I'm asking you to give me documentation directly from the group. You don't seem to understand.
What about the egg bowls then? They claim.
You notice that. Notice what about this? What about that? Let me throw more spaghetti at the wall and not actually deal with what you're asking me. Let's do this all over again. Let's start over. I asked you, do you have source documentation from those people where they themselves make the claim that they are Israelites? Do you notice that I asked you for documentation from them? You can't give me it because it does not exist. Now, what you're trying to do is say, this group said this about them. The thing is that I can show you by the same standard, because I want to use your own logic against you. You said cultural similarities and having certain practices. Okay. You have this group in Germany that keeps the Sabbath. You have this group in Germany that does circumcision. You have this group in Germany that writes in Hebrew. You have this group in Germany that keeps the feast days. You have this group in Germany that wears fringes or wears zizit. Okay? You have this group that has Torah scrolls. By your logic, should we believe that that group in Germany are Israelites since they have all the cultural practices that one would expect to find from a community that practices the faith tradition?
I mean, yes. I mean, I don't believe that they would have just made this up. I mean, what you just really are trying to say is that, like, that's like how I mentioned the egg bowls. What you really are just trying to say is that, even if they claim that they're Israelites, or even if they have Israelite culture, that just does not substantiate anything. And I, that's cool with
I got you. Hold on, but
you want to think that, but yeah, what I'm just trying to say is,
hold on. You said, so you said yes. So I want to establish something. The group that I just mentioned also claims to have descendancy from Jacob. So the combination of them claiming that they have descendancy from Jacob and having all of these cultural affinities with the people of Israel, does that make those people that I just mentioned Israelites?
I mean, it's somewhat, you know, to each his own. To each his own. I mean, if the Igbos say they have practiced Judaic customs for years and years and years, and over many generations and for centuries, and they have much Judaic cultures and traditions and customs that are similar to that of the people of the Bible, if it all just be thus and so, it's kind of like you're saying that, okay, well, even if they do, that just does not mean anything. I don't know what to do with that.
Well, I didn't say that. So here's what's interesting. You just inadvertently made a case for Ashkenazis being Israelites. You do realize that, right? When I asked you,
I don't believe that Ashkenazis are true Israelites. I believe they come from the kingdom of
yeah, but
Khazar.
listen to what we use. Cultural affinities, having Hebrew language, having Torah scrolls,
Are you
having
aware of the Khazar
practices.
conversion to Judaism?
I would like to
Are you
finish,
aware of the
bro.
Khazar?
You notice that I'm gonna finish, and you're going to listen
Because a lot.
because you're gonna listen closely. Do you notice that your own criteria backfired on you because you inadvertently made a case without even realizing it for the same Ashkenazis that you reject? If you're saying cultural affinities, speaking a language, having Torah scrolls and the practices and doing Sabbath and feast days makes you an Israelite, then Ashkenazis, by that criteria, would have to be Israelites. Otherwise, you're not consistent. Now, to your point about the Khazarian conversion, I'm going to cut you two ways on that. Before I cut you two ways on that, I'm going to cut you on this other point because I want you to see the absurdity of this argument. One, I'm going to pull up something to debunk the idea that Ashkenazis are Khazars, number one. All right. So here's the first one. Let's actually get that out the way because I know your mind is not going to concentrate unless I bring this out first. And then we're going to deal with your Igbo. Okay. We're going to do two things. We're going to see if the Igbo are descended from the Israelites. Let's see. It's Igbo here. Let me actually do this real quick because I didn't have these all pulled up right away. Okay. So I got that one and I got this one. So I got two of them. And then we're going to go to Deuteronomy 28 and show you how African Americans don't fit that either. Okay. So let's actually go to the first example. All right, my friend. You see this? You see what I'm showing on my screen?
Yeah. You muted me for a while. So yeah. I see.
Okay. You see my screen? Could you read that loud and clear for the audience, please? Could you read that? Here, read this loud and clear.
Man, look, I don't believe in DNA.
Brother, I don't care what you don't believe in. I want you to read that.
Man, okay, if you're going to bring DNA, I don't believe in DNA.
Can you read that loud and clear for us, please?
Look at what? No evidence from genome-wide data of Khazar origin for that use. You know what? A lot of your information.
For who? For what? Wait, what community?
Let me just say this.
No. Because you tried to stumble. You tried to stumble your way through that, man. So read that one more time for me, bro. Read that one more time, loud and clear for me. I want you to read that loud and clear. No evidence for genome-wide data of a Khazar here.
I don't believe in DNA,
brother. I don't care.
I
don't care if you don't believe in reality. Reality trumps your feelings. So let's read this one more time. No evidence from genome-wide data of a Khazar origin for Ashkenazi Jews. Here goes your Igbo over here. Update Igbos of Nigeria. Let's actually look at this together. Now, last February, we went to a group of people in Nigeria strongly identify with and believe themselves to be descended from the ancient Jewish people of Israel. We hosted an organization called Redeem Israel Community of Nigeria, RICON, and we conducted a DNA testing of 124 males identified by RICON as representatives of the Igbo community. After they did it, it says the lab was not able to find any connection to the samples we collected. Now, you see this? Jewish populations from around the world are found in 9 discrete subsets of humanity. These are in the following scientific groups: E1b, G, J1, J2, Q, R1a, R1b, Q, and T. The entire sample set collected from 124 Igbo males are from a different branch, commonly known as E1a, an African branch of the tree, like the E1b mentioned above. However, while the Jewish E1b group is from North Africa, Arab populations, the sample from the Igbo tribe are E1a, which is restricted to sub-Saharan African populations. For the purpose providing this DNA testing for Recon was to assist them in their pursuit of truth concerning their historical lineage and identity. They are a remarkable group of people, and although the DNA test results did not support their claim to be descendants of the ancient people of Israel, we consider them our brothers and sisters through a common faith in the Messiah, Yeshua, because this is a Messianic Jewish organization. Reason I brought that up is because the genetic evidence is against you, the historical evidence when we examine it, because those same explorers that you're going to appeal to that were claiming that certain groups had Jewish affinities or looked like they were Jews are the same historians that believe those Jews that you reject are actually the Jews. And those same colonizing groups also believe the other groups of people that you won't accept as Jews as being Jews. So you got a problem on your hand, my man. Because if we look at what they thought about the Chinese, the Japanese, the Pashtuns, what they thought about various groups, family, they're not looking at those groups as being converts or outside. These colonizing groups thought all those people were lost tribes of Israel. Now we know, according to the reality genetic, those people are not Israelites. They can't all be Israelites.
True. History affords many mysteries. I guess what I can say. That's because from what I read, at one point or another, if a person just keeps on seeing evidences and proofs, like for example, I got one book right here. I got one book right here called Christopher Columbus and the participation of the Jews in Spanish and Portuguese discoveries. All right, so now what by Meyer Kayserling.
Yeah, so that's the book that you got by looking at the article. Hold on, that's the book that you got by looking at the Jewish Encyclopedia article on Arzareth, correct? And I have that book too. Do you know that Christopher Columbus himself, I actually looked into this. So the other day I was on Clubhouse and I was talking about this, and I had made the incorrect assertion that Columbus was the one making the claim that the people were Israelites. Actually, he didn't. There's no source from Christopher Columbus where he claimed those people were Israelites. If you go in that book on page 153, you have page 153 of that book, right? Are you on the book right now? If you can turn to page 153 in that book, you'll see what I'm talking about. Go to page 153 in the book, right? You're going to have something there that 153, you say? Yeah, 153 in the book that you just mentioned.
My book right here doesn't have 153. It only has about 150 pages.
Okay, total. So we may be talking about separate books, but Christopher Columbus himself never actually made the claim. There were Spaniards that made the claim that they believed that the people of the various Native American groups were Israelites. We also have guys like Manasseh ben Israel who made that claim, but Christopher Columbus himself never made that claim. But here's the thing. Most Spaniards didn't agree with the claim that Native Americans were Israelites. Even in their day, pre-DNA people, most of the Spaniards disagreed with the assertion. And even though they didn't know, they weren't in the know about DNA in their time, their skepticism was correct. According to the genetic evidence, Native Americans came from Siberia. I want to play something for you. I want to play something from you from geneticists from the Mormon church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. You know that they believe Native Americans are Israelites, right? The Mormons. You're aware of that, right?
Yeah, I think I've heard it before. Yeah.
Okay,
but
so
yeah,
you have
like I said before, the point I'm just trying to make it here is, if we read according to many historical records left by people who communicated with the Native Americans, like for example, I'm gonna just cut straight to the point. Can I just read?
Brother, I want you to hear me for a second.
Promised Lands real quick,
brother. Yeah. So that book by Ronald Sanders has also been debunked. So I can show you several critical articles that show that he made a lot of his assertions through conjecture and not actual tangible evidence. So according to the genetic evidence, brother, I'd
this
like
guy
to finish, man.
Montezinos was a real guy that wrote
I
about this.
understand that they were, yeah. So
Right?
I wanted to explain to you. So I've read Manasseh ben Israel's The Hope of Israel, where in his memoir he talks about a fellow Jew that supposedly went to the New World and encountered Native Americans and claimed that they were Jews and they spoke Hebrew. But the reality is that we have no evidence of that. All of that was pure ducktails, and I'll tell you why it's ducktails. Native Americans have a particular father side marker called QM3. QM3 is found in high frequencies in Siberia. Native Americans, the tools that they, listen to me, have you ever looked at the Clovis culture? That's Clovis. Have you ever heard of that Clovis culture?
No, I haven't. Elaborate more.
Okay, so the Clovis culture, there was a boy from that culture, Anric boy, who was found in Montana. He was QM3. Since he's a boy, they could test his Y chromosome. He was QM3 on his father's side. That's the very same Y chromosome that your Native American groups have. The groups that they find in those isolated places and then they test them, they come out, most of them QM3. Your Aztec and Mayan descended people, they're QM3 predominant. Your reservation people predominantly are QM3, most of those people. Most Native Americans are QM3. The Clovis boy, that's a culture that gave rise to various Native American groups. That boy was QM3. It locks him in with the other culture of Native American people. That QM3 is found in Siberia. Native Americans did not come from Israel. They came from Siberia. All right. And I'm going to show you. And
you know, they actually did say they were Hebrew speaking, though, right? You do know that, right?
I am telling you right now that every one of those assertions is coming from someone and not the actual Native Americans. The Native Americans don't have Semiticisms. The conjugations. I'm not done. I'm gonna finish talking. I'm gonna help you hear this all the way through, so this way I know you're listening. The Semiticisms that are found in Native American language, I mean, there's no Semiticisms, I should say. I'm saying it backwards. There are no Semiticisms found in Native American languages. There's no verbal conjugations, none of the things that we find in actual Semitic languages. Like, for example, in your Ethiopic languages that are Semitic, in your Western Canaanite dialects, those are Semitic. Your Akkadian, you have overlap with those languages. You have certain features that you see amongst them. You don't find that in Native American dialects. I want to play something for you. I want you to hear this with your own ears. There is no linguistic or archaeological connection between Native Americans or Semitic speaking groups. Here, let me actually play this for you, because I want you to hear this. I don't want you to just take my word for it.
What about the Las Lunas
Stone?
Yeah,
the Las Lunas Stone. I have a refutation for that as well. I have a video on my channel debunking that as well. The Las Lunas Stones, when you actually look at them, are also believed to be a hoax forgery. In fact, the Mormon Church actually agrees that it's a modern hoax. Also, the Newark Stones, the Newark Holy Stones is a hoax. It's actually shown in the very writing of the artifact. The Back Creek Stone is a hoax. I can actually show you the articles on that as well. I have videos on my channel debunking that. Everything that you're presenting me is debunkable. So the Los Luna Stones wasn't even, and the Los Luna Stones was not made. The Los Luna Stones was not made by Native Americans. It was actually made by the Sephardic Jewish communities that were there, by charlatans from that community, number one. So it was made by the so-called Jews, not Native Americans, or who you think are Israelites. And the Los Luna Stones, the Back Creek Stones, the Newark Stones are all known forgeries. They're all known hoax artifacts. Do you have anything better? You don't seem to have anything good, man.
I have plenty because you don't
have plenty. Everything you're showing me, I have a reputation for. But I noticed something here. I'm going to show you the Lemba calling themselves the white men from Senna. Here, let's actually go to that. And I want you to tell me that, since you think that they're Israelites based on just their skin color and their cultural practices. So you can see my screen. Do you see this right here? This is page 163 of Tudor Parfitt's book, Black Jews of Africa and the Americas. And if you don't deal with this directly, I'm going to move on to someone else, man. It says, those Lembas with whom I have discussed the results often recall the fact that they habitually refer to themselves as the white men who came from Senna, and that the DNA evidence proves that they were once white and that they are Jews. Why are they saying that about themselves, bro? The Lembas. Were you aware of that fact?
Yep. I mean, I wasn't actually aware that they claim to be from white men from Senna and whatnot. Really, it's one tribe that says this, so I don't really care, because there's so much other. There's so many other things to look at.
Yeah, I got
There's so
some more
many
for you.
other things to look at.
For you.
I mean,
I got
almost.
you,
I mean,
brother.
let me just say. Can I just say something real quick? Let me just say something real quick. Let me just say something real quick. Can I just get this out? Yeah, for real, because this is. I mean, going through a lot is. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of proof. There's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of facts. I mean, for real. Even dealing with the book
that refute what you're saying. Yes.
Even dealing with the book Christopher Columbus and the participation of the Jews in Spanish and Portuguese discoveries. Yeah, even reading about that book, even just reading about it, man. Like, come on now. They said they spoke a corrupt. They said they were speaking to the natives in their language. In the book Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, I mean, they said they were speaking to the natives. We actually
have the memoirs of Christopher Columbus's own.
They said their language was corrupted Hebrew.
We actually have the memoirs of Christopher Columbus's own men that he brought Jews with him on the voyage that could speak Hebrew. And when they spoke to the natives in Hebrew, we literally have them recounting that they couldn't understand what they were saying. So what you just said is just completely false. So here's the reality of the matter.
False. It's not completely,
bro. It is completely false. Because could you do me a favor? Could you point to a Native American word that you think is Hebrew so I can show you how it's not Hebrew? Go ahead. Point to a word that they have that's Hebrew. Go ahead. What's a Hebrew word?
I'm going to go straight to the book itself. That says
I want you to do me a favor. Yeah. Here's a question.
They have many places. Let me see if I can find a page real quick. Because
you're going to go and find
Cuba,
a page.
Like words like Cuba and Haiti, those are Hebrew words.
No, they're not cute. They're not Hebrew words.
Those are Hebrew words. Like, man,
no,
for
they're
real.
not actually. Here, let me actually debunk you in real time. We're going to go to ChatGPT and we're going to ask ChatGPT say that one more time. The names Cuba and Haiti are the names Cuba and Haiti.
But the historian that even said this, Ronaldo. This is
okay. Look at it right here, brother. I'm gonna show. Look at the screen.
Hundreds of years ago, man.
Brother,
ain't nobody lying. Ain't nobody telling lies.
What you just said is DuckTales. Here, look at the screen.
Are
the name Cuba and Haiti Hebrew words? No, there is no accepted linguistic evidence that the names Cuba or Haiti are Hebrew words. And in fact, if you think they are, point to me to a lexicon that definitionally has the word Cuba there or the word Haiti there as Hebrew words. Here's what is generally accepted by historians and linguists. Cuba is widely believed to be from an indigenous Taino word, possibly Cubao, where the fertile land is abundant, or Cobana, great place. Though its exact origin remains uncertain, it is not derived from Hebrew. Haiti comes from the Taino word Haiti, also spelled Haiti historically, meaning land of the high mountains or mountainous land. Can I ask you a question? In the Hebrew Bible, what's the word for mountain?
Forgot. I'm not. I don't look up the words all the time. But Zara. Was it Zara?
Yeah. So it's not the word Haiti.
Okay, but look, still dealing with things. Look, check this out. Can you hear me? Okay,
what you just showed me right now is that you don't know what you're talking about, bro. You literally showed me.
Like for example, Montezinos, who was one of the European explorers that came over here.
Bro, you notice that you're making a lot of assertions. I want you to back yourself up by
these are facts and evidence. These are facts and proofs.
No, it's not facts and evidence. Actually, no, it's not. You want me to ask ChatGPT if Montezino being an Israelite is a fact or an evidence? You want me to show right now? Here, let's actually do it. Look, I'm
Okay, so
going
you
to
say
show you everything
Montezino's one of Israelite.
here.
You say Montezino's was an Israelite. I mean,
He was
he was a
absolutely not an
converted Jew. He
Israelite.
was a converted Jew. I don't believe
No, he
myself
wasn't.
that he was an Israelite. I believe he was a
You think he
converted
was
Jew.
an Israelite?
Not exactly. No, I said I
So
believe he's a
why are you
converted Jew.
using Montezino
I
as
believe he's
so
converted.
bro, why are you playing games and using Montezino as evidence if you don't even think he's an Israelite? You know what, man, sit back there, bro. Hey, Willie, did you see what this man said? Montezino is evidence that the Native Americans are Israelites, but I don't believe Montezino is an Israelite. What? So why would you use Montezino if you don't think he's an Israelite? Absurdity. Anyways, what's going on, Elisheba? I see you in the back. My apologies if you're able to hear me now.
Yeah, I was just joined into the chat because I'm hearing all kinds of assertions and all kind of information, but I'm just really want to ask you the question like this. Where exactly are you getting all your information? Is your information actually coming from the gods of Jerusalem or the gods of Israel? Can you hear them? Can you hear the gods of Jerusalem? Okay, do you know who they are? And you got a lot of scholar information and philosophy and different things and different assertments and different histories and different documentations that you are working with, trying to prove that the children of Israel or the 12 tribes or the people that say they are the children of Israel is not authentic. So I want to
No, I
ask
didn't say
you
that.
this
Wait,
one
hold on. Let me
question.
stop you. Can I just stop you real quick because this is my platform. So I put the
Of
Hebrew Israelites on the
course.
hot seat on here. So what I wanted to do, number one, I don't cast
Yeah.
aspersions on the people of Israel. I don't believe West and Central African descended people as a majority are those people because they're not. The genetic evidence isn't there for that. The historical evidence, the archaeological evidence, the linguistic evidence is not there. And making appeals to Deuteronomy 28 are also going to work against that assertion. Now, I want to ask you the question. You believe you're an Israelite?
No, I believe I'm a Hebrew.
Okay. You believe
I
you're a
am a
Hebrew.
Hebrew
You
woman.
okay, I
Yes,
got you.
a
Do you
Hebrew
believe that you
woman. I'm
I hear
beyond
I
an
hear you.
Israelite.
I hear you.
That's just a King James Version um, dialogue. Israelites.
Okay.
No, I am a Hebrew woman.
I hear you.
Okay.
Do you believe you're hold on, ma'am? Do you believe you're Yisraeli? Because that's a term that's used in the Hebrew text of the Bible. Do you believe you're Yisraeli? Yisraelite, because you're a woman, pardon me.
Yes.
Do you believe you're Yisraelite?
Yeah. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew woman. Yes. Yeah.
No. I didn't ask if you're Ibri. I asked or if you're Ibrit. I asked if you are Yisraelite. So Yisraelite is the feminine way to say Israelite woman in the Hebrew text of the Bible because the Bible uses
Yeah.
the term
Yes. Yes.
Israelite for the group of
Absolutely.
Israel. Okay. What is your evidence
Absolutely.
of being
Absolutely.
what is your evidence of being Yisraelite?
What is my evidence?
Mm-hmm.
My genetic code, my inheritance, my DNA. That's
Yeah,
my
we don't have your DNA
evidence.
proves it.
The
Yeah,
gods
what's your
of,
evidence? Yeah, what's your evidence?
what's my evidence?
Uh-huh.
My evidence is that the gods of Israel spoke to me and told me who I am. That's all the evidence I need. I don't need no paper to tell me who I am. Long as the gods of Jerusalem speak to me and I can hear them because I am their prophet. So I know exactly who I am. That's my
Well,
evidence that the
I got
gods
something.
of Israel spoke to me.
I, I hear you. I want to show you something.
Yes.
So the God of Israel
Okay.
says the following through this Hebrew apostle here, and this is in First John chapter 4. Beloved, do not believe every
Yeah.
spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, for many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this, you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God, and every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have heard was coming and is now in the world already. So we should test the spirits, including those that do not confess Jesus Christ. Do you confess Jesus Christ has come in the flesh?
Jesus Christ, I confess
Yeah.
the Mashiach came in the
Okay.
flesh, not Jesus Christ,
So then, according to this,
the Son of
you
the
are
living God. Yes.
okay. Yeah, but this here says Jesus here. It uses the word Jesus, which is the Greek transliteration
Mhm.
of the Hebrew and
Yeah.
Aramaic Yeshua and the Hebrew Yehoshua. So here, if you do not confess Jesus, then you're not from God. The spirit that you're receiving is the spirit of Antichrist. If you're rejecting Jesus
So,
Christ, then
yeah,
you have the spirit of Antichrist
okay,
guiding you.
okay. Can I ask you a question, if it's
Go
okay?
ahead. Yes.
Do you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of the living God?
Yes.
And why do you believe that? His name is Jesus.
Because the name Jesus is the anglicized form of the Greek transliteration that appears all throughout the New Testament for the name Yeshua, which is Jesus. And it's also the name that was used for Joshua in the Old Testament in the Greek Septuagint, which was made by the Hebrew community of Alexandria in their translation, the same translation that's quoted all throughout the New Testament. So, for example, Paul quotes from it, the apostle James quotes from it, the other apostles, the author of Hebrews quotes from it in the book of Hebrews, especially Hebrews chapter 8, when he quotes Jeremiah, or when they quote Jeremiah 31 through 34, they're quoting the Greek Septuagint of Jeremiah 31 through 34. And the name Jesus appears in their writing, in the Apostle John here's writing, Yohochanan's writing. It appears in the Apostle Paulos, Shaul, his writing. Every one of the apostles uses the name Jesus, which is where we get the name Jesus from, because Jesus is literally etymologically derived from Jesus, which is all throughout the New Testament.
Okay, so I'm understanding you right now. So what you are saying, that you believe everything that's in the New Testament, the King James Version Bible, is
I didn't say King
correct
James.
and it's authentic.
I didn't say the King
Everything
James.
you
So I
see in the King James, huh? Okay,
Ma'am,
I'm sorry.
I do not, yes, ma'am.
Hmm?
I think it's important that we not misrepresent the person that we're speaking with. So
Okay,
I'm not trying to misrepresent you, and I feel you're misrepresenting me. I never said the King James. I'm not a fan of the King James. People who know me on this channel will know that I will say often I am not a fan of that translation. However, the King James,
okay.
not even dealing with the King
Mhm.
James, we have literal translations that are not the King James that also use the name Jesus. The name Jesus is the anglicized form of the Greek phrase that appears all throughout the New Testament, which is the equivalent of the Hebrew name Yeshua. That is Jesus. Jesus is derived
I
from
got,
Jesus. Jesus is derived from
I got.
Yeshua, which is Jesus's birth name when he was given his name at his birth. All three names are representative of the same person. They are etymologically derived from the same name, thus making them the same name.
Okay. So I understand what you just quoted and what you just said. I clearly do understand you. But I want to ask you, what translation do you actually believe in? You say you don't believe in the King James Version translated Bible.
Yeah, so I use the ESV. I'm also a fan of the Net Bible and the NESB. So I don't stick to a particular English translation if I'm going to read something in English. I prefer to look at the Greek underneath the translation and the specific manuscript tradition, because this right here in First John was originally composed in Koine Greek. and I look at the Greek and I show people the Greek. So I'll
Okay.
sometimes pull up the interlinear. But what I wanted to point out, though, is the name Jesus is etymologically derived from his Greek form, Jesus, which is all throughout the New Testament. And if you have a problem with that form, then you have a problem with the apostles that he chose, or even himself, because Jesus and the apostles also quote from the Greek Septuagint. Jesus read the Greek Septuagint. For example, in the synagogue in Luke chapter 4, he's quoting Isaiah 61 in the Greek Septuagint there. The reason why is because the synagogue that he was visiting in the region of Galilee of the Gentiles region, that region in Nazareth and around that area, because the region of Galilee and the surrounding adjoining regions, let me put it that way, so I'm not inaccurate. They spoke Koine Greek as their bridge language. That's the language that Christ is communicating with Pontius Pilate in when they're having their conversation. So Jesus knew Greek and he could read Greek and he could literally quote from Greek texts. And he's quoting a Greek text, a Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible in the synagogue in Luke chapter 4.
Okay, wonderful. So is Jesus a Greek God, or is he a Greek, or was he a Hebrew?
Okay, I have a question for you because I want you to spot the mistake you're making in asking that question. Are you an English goddess and
Okay.
prophet? Oh, are you an English prophetess? Not a goddess, pardon me. Are you an English prophetess because you're speaking English to me right now? Are you derived from the people that speak English because you're speaking English to me right now?
Yeah, I speak English. I'm not studying Hebrew. I'm gonna wait till I
No, no,
get
no, no,
back
no, no,
to
no. But you
my
don't.
land.
I hear you.
Okay.
So hold on.
Yeah.
So because Jesus read from something
Yeah.
Greek does not therefore make him a Greek by bloodline. It simply means that he knew the language, right?
Exactly.
Why would you
Exactly.
confuse why would you confuse that when I'm pointing out that Jesus, who was a Hebrew by bloodline, is reading from a Greek text?
Okay.
Why did your mind immediately
Okay.
conclude that that somehow must mean that I think Jesus was a bloodline Greek? Like, are bloodline Greeks the only ones that speak Greek?
No, no, you have all kind of people that speak all kind of different languages. So I was
Yeah,
just asking you the question,
including
not
Hebrews,
saying
right?
that you believe in that.
I got you. I got you.
It's
Including
including Hebrews.
including Hebrew. So hold on. So
Yes, absolutely,
Jesus was and is a
absolutely.
Hebrew. So if Jesus was reading from a Greek text,
Yeah.
that should lead us to believe that
Mhm.
one, he doesn't have to descend from the bloodline people. However, Jesus was well aware of how Greek worked and he utilized it and he quoted from Greek texts. Therefore, we shouldn't be sitting here and playing games and saying, why do you call him Jesus? Well, we're speaking English, and in English, the name Yeshua is pronounced Jesus. When I speak in Hebrew or if I speak in Greek, I'll say Jesus or I'll say Yeshua. We're speaking in English.
All right.
Now, what I
It's
wanted to say is
wonderful.
that this
Yeah.
Bible, which is in, are you looking at your screen? This translation is an English translation, right? Yeah,
Let
this is
me
English, right?
grab my other eyes here. What you say now?
Okay, do
Yes.
you see your screen? This
Yes.
is English. This is English, right?
Yes. English.
Okay, so this is a translation from the original Greek that this was composed in into English. So underneath this, do you see where it says Jesus Christ is going to say Jesu Christo? It's going to use the name of Jesus Christ in the original Greek. When the apostle wrote this
Yes.
writing, he wrote Jesu Christo. He didn't write that name in Hebrew, he wrote it in its Greek form. Clearly, the apostle doesn't share your opinion that we should only use Hebrew forms of names or that we should only call out in a Hebrew form of a name, because he's using the Greek form of the Mashiach, the Messiah's name.
Okay. I got you on that. I got you on that. I understand what you're saying. But I want to say this. Paul, Peter, John, James, all of the disciples, they was Hebrews. Correct?
Mhm. Yeah, were they
Correct?
Hebrews?
They was
Yeah, so
Hebrews.
hold on a second. Was Paul a
Yeah.
Hebrew? Paul was a Hebrew.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
Did Paul read and write in Greek and quote Greek literature, including Greek poems?
Of course. Yes, he could write all kind of languages because he traveled everywhere. Of course. Yes. I cannot say he
Okay.
didn't. Yeah.
Okay. I have
Yeah.
another question for you, because this is going
All
to tell you
right.
what spirit is directing you. Is
Okay.
the one that we're calling Jesus, the Messiah, is he
Mm-hmm.
God in human flesh?
No. No.
So
Absolutely
then,
not.
you know what you just did? You just
Absolutely
showed
not.
us. Okay, do you see the author here where it says John? Do you see the author John, First John? You see that, right?
Yes,
Listen to
but
what they
wait a
say.
minute. Before you do
Hold
that,
on, hold
can
on.
I
No, no,
just
no,
say
no,
this? Can I
no.
just say this real
No,
quick?
you can wait. You can
No,
wait
I
until
just
you
want
see
to
it.
clarify. I want to clarify what I was saying before you show me that.
Uh-huh.
Okay? You
Yeah.
said, was Jesus Christ God in the flesh, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you saying that you asking me the question that
I didn't say
is
he's the
he the
father. I'm saying
Father
he's
or,
no.
or is he the Son? I mean, yeah, that's what
I'm saying he's the son, but the son is
of,
in essence, in his nature, in his ontology, God, not a God, God.
of
He's God,
course, God.
just like his father is God. Okay. Because I was gonna read you. In the beginning
Yes,
was the
I believe
word.
he's a God. Absolutely.
No, no,
Okay.
no. I
Where
didn't
are you?
say a no, man, listen to me. I didn't say he's a God. I said he's God, because that's what the text says. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was
Hmm.
God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Listen down here. 14. And the word became flesh. God became flesh, because the word is God, and dwelt amongst us, and we have seen his glory, glory as the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. Look at verse 18. No one has seen God, God, the only Son who is at the Father's side, he has made him known. So the word is
Yes.
God, not a God. He is God along with his Father.
Wonderful.
This
Absolutely.
This is coming from the same John that
Absolutely.
told us to test the spirits. But when I asked you, you said he wasn't. Now you said he's a God. There's no verse that says Jesus is a God. We have every verse, all the
Well,
verses that point to his divinity say that he is God, period, with
okay.
no a attached to it.
Okay. What version are you actually reading right now? Are you reading the King James Version?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Okay. Because if it don't say a God or he's God or the God, how can we say that the translation that you believe in is giving you the correct information? How can you prove that? That this translation that you believe in is authentic? How? I need to know that.
Okay, it's real simple. So it's based on the textual transmission that we have. Every single copy of First John, or First John 4 that we were reading earlier, it'll say Jesus, but in the Gospel of John, every copy begins with NRK, and it begins with halagos, and it identifies halagos as theos. All of them. Every manuscript that we have, every copy of John has that writing there, exactly as we saw it in those verses. And our oldest copies of
All right.
John read the way that First John, this is important. Our oldest copies of First of John chapter 1 verse 18 read this way. Our oldest manuscripts have
Hmm.
this reading, the one that you're looking right there where it
Okay.
says God the only Son who is at the Father's side, he has made him known. So our oldest
Yes.
manuscripts bear witness to that reading, and that gives us very much certainty. This is the reading. There is no variant when it comes to this up here. Up here, when it says this right here, what we just read right here, there's no variant at all. All our
Mm-hmm.
manuscripts read this way, all of them. And if that is the case, then it is very clear who Jesus is being identified as. It's the same Jesus that in
Okay.
John 8 tells us, before Abraham
Yeah.
was, I am. So he is identifying himself as the
Of
great
course.
I am of the Old Testament. Jesus is the I am of the Old Testament, along with his Father and along with the set apart Spirit.
Okay, wonderful. I have a question for you. Since
Go
you,
ahead.
said all those things to me, um, when Jesus was in Jerusalem, in Galilee,
Mhm.
in Judea,
Yeah.
when
Yep.
he was going about to do his Father's business, who was he with all of his teachings, all of his sayings, everything he was bringing forth?
Mhm.
Who was he? What was his whole teaching focusing on? Was it focusing on him or was it focusing on his Father?
So I think that's a
That's my
false
question.
dilemma because it was focusing in on all the elements. His Father sent him. He says that this is the work of God, that
Mm-hmm.
you believe on the one whom he sent. Clearly, Jesus is not divorced from what the Father desires, that they believe on the Son. That's why he says in John 6, and this is the will of the Father, that all that he has given me, I will raise up at the last day. So Jesus emphasizes both the Father and himself. That's why he can say, now, Father, glorify me with the glory that I had with you before the world was, because everything that Jesus is doing was in the will and the plan of the Father. That's why Jesus speaks the words of the Father, and the will of the Father is that we believe on Jesus and that we honor Jesus just like we honor the Father. That's Jesus's own words, that whosoever honors the Son just as they honor
Okay.
the Father. Whoever does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. So the emphasis is on the Father's will, that we believe on Jesus, his Son, for the remission of our sins. If we don't do that, then we're not obeying the Father. We cannot have the Son, and we will not be set apart by the Holy Spirit.
So you saying that the Son of God, Jesus, was teaching his disciples to
Yeah.
glorify him, to pray to him, to uplift him, to worship him.
Could
Is
you
that
read,
what you're saying? That he was teaching
ma'am, ma'am,
his
could you read
disciples?
Jesus's own words for could you read Jesus's own words? I don't want you to just take my word for it. Let's take Jesus's word for it. So I want you to do the
Yeah.
following.
What's the
I want
Bible
no, no,
verse?
no, no, ma'am. I want you to read this like on your screen. This is not the King James for the record.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, right,
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Could you read that loud and clear for us, please?
Yeah, I have to move my phone to do it. It says, for the Father judges no one, but has given all judgment to the Son, that all may honor, that all my, that all may honor the Son, they honor the Father. Excuse me. Whosoever does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. Truly, truly, I say unto you, whosoever hears my words and believe him who sent me has eternal life. He does not come into judgment, but has passed from life to death.
Right.
Okay,
And I
so
got
this
another one for you.
particular
Hey,
translation, okay.
okay, I have
And
another one.
again, this is
Look,
the English.
this is all the
This the
yeah,
English
this is
standard. This is the English standard. Okay, translation.
yeah,
Okay,
all the Bible
okay.
translations are going to read the same in those passages. So look at what it says right here. Now, Jesus said to them,
Uh
I
huh.
am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. Now, I want to show you what he said. He says here, up here earlier, then they said to him,
Mm-hmm.
what must we do
Yeah.
to be doing the works of God? Jesus answered them, This is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he has sent, meaning of himself. Because he says, I am the bread of life that came down from heaven. Then he's going to talk about the will of the Father is that you believe in him. You must believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
You have to honor him the same way you honor the Father. If you do not honor him like how you honor the Father, then you don't actually belong to the Father or the Son or the Holy Spirit.
Could I ask you what Bible verse did I read? Because I want to turn to it in my King James Version Bible, please.
Yeah, but I got you. This is John 6:20 and 29. Off the top of it, the King James is going to read,
Okay.
what is the work of God that we should work? Jesus answered him, this is the work of God, that you believe on the one whom he hath sent. So off the top of the head, I believe that's how it reads verbatim. And more
John
importantly,
6, what now?
John 6:28 through 29.
I'm sorry.
I got you. It's no worries.
Oh, yeah.
I got you. Yeah, your connection is breaking in and
Then
out.
said they unto him. Okay, I'm sorry. Then said he unto them,
Yeah.
what shall we do that we might work the works of God? Right? Jesus answered and said unto them, is this the right Bible verse?
Yeah, this is the work of God, that you
Okay.
believe on him whom he have sent.
Yes, Jesus answered and said unto them, this is the work of God, that you believe on him whom he have sent. Yes, he
Right.
sent the Son of God, the Mashiach. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They said, so yes, you have to believe.
Hold
Yeah,
on,
you have to
Elisheba.
believe in the Son.
Hold on. I agree with that, but
Yes.
Elisheba, earlier you were
Yeah.
polemicizing against the King James, but now you're reading from the King James. Why are you reading from that translation if you don't trust that translation? I don't understand.
Let me tell you why. Because again, I can hear the God of Israel, and he talks to me all the time. And he told me like this: everything that you read in the New Testament, it have to match the Torah. And if it don't line up with the Torah, my word, my law, my contract, my covenant, then it's not authentic. And that's what he told me.
That's
And wait a minute, I'm not finished. And he also told me, wait a minute, I know you're going to say it's the spirit of the Antichrist, but let me finish. And please. And he also told me, if you read a Bible verse, if you read a verse in the Bible, in the New Testament, and it don't take you back to the Torah, then it's not authentic. Because they only had the Torah when Peter, John, and James and the Son of God was walking the earth.
Okay, ma'am, I want you to hear me.
So this is what he told me.
Ma'am,
Okay,
what
go
would have
ahead.
been the Torah? What would have been the Torah that the apostles that were chosen by the Son of God were reading from? They would have been using the Greek Septuagint, because most of their conversations would have been taking place with Greek speakers. That doesn't mean that they weren't also using potentially other languages or whatever, but they were primarily dealing with the Greek of the New Testament, because you know how we know that for a fact? Because with maybe the possible exception of Matthew, and even that is highly disputed, virtually every book of the New Testament is composed in Koine Greek, and they're quoting the Greek Septuagint. And you have apostles that are literally quoting Greek writings all throughout. And this isn't just exclusive to them. The Israelites, the Hebrews of their day were doing the same thing. So Elisheba, I just wanted you to focus in on this so you can hear me. So the New Testament was written in Greek. Okay, that's number one. In every manuscript of the New Testament, Jesus is identified as God, not a God, God. In every one of them, he's identified as the medium through whom the Father made all things, the heavens, the earth, everything. He's identified as eternal. He's identified as obviously the Son of God. And more importantly, the apostles led by the set apart spirit, right? You know, the Holy Spirit means set apart, right? The Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach HaKodesh
Yeah.
led the apostles at the Council of Jerusalem. And I'm going to read this to you. When they were disputing over whether the Gentiles needed to observe the customs of Moses by keeping the feast and the Sabbath, and I understand God gave those commandments to Moses under the old contract, which according to Hebrews 8:13 has been made obsolete. But there was still in the early stages of the church being built up, the church that Christ established. There was the need to understand, did the Gentiles and other people have to be bound to the rules and regulations of the previous contract and all its regulations, all of them, including feast days and Sabbaths and everything, to be right with God? And the answer is no. That's why you had the Pharisees here, because you'll notice the controversy. But some men came down from Judea and were teaching the brothers, unless you are circumcised according to the custom of Moses, you cannot be saved. And after Paul and Barnabas had no small dissension and debate with them, Paul and Barnabas and some of the others were appointed to go up to Jerusalem to the apostles and the elders about this question. So being sent on their way by the church, they passed through both Phoenicia and Samaria, describing in detail the conversion of the Gentiles, and brought great joy to all the brothers. And when they came to Jerusalem, they were welcomed by the church and the apostles and the elders, and they declared all that God had done with them. But some believers who belonged to the party of the Pharisees rose up and said, it is necessary to circumcise them and order them to keep the law of Moses, which means they weren't keeping the law of Moses and they weren't circumcised. Let's see what the apostles decided that were chosen by Christ. Jesus says, whoever hears you, hears me who sent you. The apostles and the elders were gathered together to consider this matter. And after there had been much debate, Peter stood up and said to them, brothers, you know that in the early days, God made a choice among you that by my mouth, the Gentiles should hear the word of the gospel and believe. And God, who knows the heart, and bore witness to them by giving them the Holy Spirit, just as he did to us. That's Acts 10 with Cornelius, when the Holy Spirit fell on him and his household, uncircumcised men. And he made no distinction between us and them, having cleansed their hearts by faith. Now, therefore, why are you putting God to the test by placing a yoke on the neck of the disciples that neither our fathers nor we have been able to bear? But we believe that they will be saved through the grace of the Lord Jesus, just as they will, that we will be saved just as they will be saved. Meaning they don't have to observe the customs of Moses to be saved, because they've received the Holy Spirit without keeping the customs of Moses. That's why you have the apostles saying, therefore, it says in Romans chapter 3, 27 through 28, where is the boasting then? Is it excluded? By what law? Of works? Nay, but by the law of faith. Therefore, we, talking about the apostles, therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. Meaning you're not saved by law keeping. You're saved by believing in Jesus. And you keep his commandments, which are the commandments of the new covenant. And those commandments don't require you to have to go under the rules of the old contract, the old covenant commandments that were given by God to Moses to be right with God. And that's precisely why when you read down here, where it literally says, and after, look what it says, and all the assembly fell silent, and they listened to Barnabas and Paul as they related what signs and wonders God had done through them among the Gentiles, the same uncircumcised Gentiles that weren't keeping the law of Moses. After they had finished speaking, James replied, brothers, listen to me. Simeon, that's Peter, has related how God first visited the Gentiles to take from them a people for his name. And with this, the words of the prophet agree, as it is written. This is quoting Amos 9, 11, and 12 in the Greek Septuagint, the Greek version. After this, I will return and I will rebuild the tent of David that is fallen, and I will rebuild its ruin, and I will restore it. The tent of David is really in this covenant fulfilled in Jesus, because he's a descendant of David. He rebuilt the tent of David, which is the new covenant church, that the remnant of mankind may seek the Lord, and all the Gentiles who are called by my name, says the Lord, who makes these things known from of old. Therefore, my judgment is we should not trouble those of the Gentiles who turn to God. but we should write to them to abstain from things polluted, from idols and from sexual immorality and from that which has been strangled and from blood. Notice he doesn't say they need to go and keep Sabbath and feast days and wear fringes and be circumcised, because they just shut that down. And this was led by the Holy Spirit. That's why it says right here, it seemed good to us, having come to one accord, to choose men and send them to you with our beloved Barnabas and Paul. Look what it says here. For it has seemed good to the Holy Spirit and to us to lay on you no greater burden than these requirements. No greater burden than these requirements. No circumcision, Sabbath, feast days, none of that.
Yeah. Okay. I have a couple questions for you. Thank you for that reading. I do understand what you're reading. Number one question is that, are you a Gentile? Do you believe you're a Gentile, or what is your nationality? That's the number one question. I have two more.
If you're asking me, are there Hebrew Israelites that believe that I'm an Israelite? Yes, they would say that I'm the tribe of Ephraim. I do not hold to that current belief. I don't believe that, and no disrespect to you, Elisheba. No, I mean no disrespect. I don't think you're a Hebrew.
It's fine. It's fine. It's wonderful.
Hebrew. Yeah. I just want to let you know, I don't think you're a Hebrew. I don't think I'm a Hebrew. I don't think our people are Hebrews. Just so we're clear about that.
Okay.
I don't believe that. I believe that
I understand.
if you're in Christ, you're
so
Abraham's seed through faith. I believe that if you believe in the Messiah, you can count Abraham as your forefather through faith, not through bloodline. I believe that you're grafted in and adopted into the family of Abraham. And I believe you're added to the family of God. But I do not believe that a person has to descend or know that they descend from Jacob in order to be right with God. And I don't think you believe that either. I don't think you believe that you have to descend from Jacob to be right with God, right?
No, I believe that you have to descend from Jacob in order to be connected to the gods of the Hebrew kingdom and nation. That's what I believe.
In order for you to be right with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you have to descend from Jacob?
Well, in order for you to be a Hebrew, this is what I'm saying. In order
I didn't
for
ask
you
about
to
being
be
a
a Hebrew.
No, hold on a second. That's not what I asked.
Let's go back. Maybe I misunderstood.
In order for you to be right with God, do you have to descend from Jacob to be right with God? Meaning,
no,
in order for you to have,
absolutely no, absolutely no.
Just so we're clear what I mean by that, so you know what I mean by that. When I say be right, I mean in order for you to be saved and to be counted as a child of God, do you have to descend from Jacob?
No, absolutely not.
Got you.
You can also be a Gentile, but the Gentiles will be in the outer court, according to Revelation.
Yeah, Revelation 11.
They won't actually be.
Revelation 11 is not talking about the believers in Christ. Do you know how we know that for a fact? All you have to do is go to Revelation chapter 7 and see that multitude that is with them. Yeah, let's go to it. When you go there and you go to Revelation, when you go to, because you're reading of Revelation 11, which is using metaphorical language, ignores Revelation 7, which is talking about the actual believers, both the 144,000 that were sealed and the people that came from the other nations that all believe in the same Messiah. And there was no division between them in terms of them all being before the throne of the Almighty. After this, I saw the four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds of the earth, that no wind might blow on the earth or the sea or against any tree. Now, I want to establish that they're talking about the sealing of the 144,000 starting in verse 4. And I heard the number of the sealed, 144,000 sealed from every tribe of the sons of Israel. Right. And you see it all there, all the sealed ones right there. I'm going to just skip because there's a lot.
Yes.
After the last tribe, Benjamin, is sealed. Verse 9, After this, I
Yes.
look and behold a great multitude. It doesn't say that was divided from the 144,000. They're right there with the 144,000 as one people together, even though they are not from the people of Israel. And I look and behold a great multitude that no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples
All
and languages,
nations.
standing before the throne
Yes.
and before the Lamb,
Yes.
clothed in white, with palm
Yes.
branches in their hand. There's no division, there's no segregation, there's none of that stuff that you talked about, because you're looking at Revelation 11, and when it was using the term they're Gentile, it's using it in reference to those people that are not in Christ. It is actually distinguishing this people that is a part of the nation of God. How do we know that? This same multitude says down here, and I said to him, sir, you know, and he said, these are the ones coming out of the great tribulation. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore, they are before the throne of God, and they serve him day and night in his temple. Notice that they're in his temple. They're not in the outer court of his temple. They're inside the temple. And he who sits on the throne will shelter them with his presence, and they shall hunger no more, neither thirst anymore. The sun shall not strike them, nor any scorching heat. For the Lamb is in the midst of the throne, will be their shepherd, and he will guide them to the springs of living water, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Therefore, what you just said was refuted when we actually read this in context. Those same people are over here in Revelation chapter 5. Look what it says right here when we read. And it says, and they sang a new song saying, worthy are you to take the scroll and open its seal, for you were slain, and by your blood you ransomed people for God from every tribe and language and people and nation, and you have made them a kingdom and priests to our God, and they shall reign on the earth. There is no division. You know how we know that? All we got to do is go to Ephesians. You notice how I know these Bible verses, because this is where I want to show you where your interpretation is wrong. That spirit that was telling you those things was not a spirit from God. And this is coming from God, because the set apart spirit inspired these words that we're reading. I'm giving you the words that come directly by inspiration from God through the human authors that wrote. When you read this, you can perceive my insight into the mystery of Christ, which was not made known to the sons of men in other generations, as it has now been revealed to his holy apostles and prophets by the Spirit. This mystery is that the Gentiles are fellow heirs, members of the same body, and partakers of the promise in Christ Jesus through the gospel. Fellow heirs, equal heirs, not on the outside, not second-class citizens, but one and the same people, because they are a part of the same kingdom. There's no getting around that, Elisheba. Oh, Elisheba left. Did she leave? Oh, man. She left, man. Oh, doggone it, man. She left, man. Unfortunate. I want all of you to keep the people that were here in prayer, brothers and sisters in Christ. I want y'all to pray for them. Pray for the people in the audience that be talking crazy too, man, because they be talking all that good stuff and then be nowhere to be found. I got more respect for her than I do for them. I want you guys to keep everybody that was in here in prayer. I want you to pray that the Lord would help Elisheba. I don't think she's far from the Lord. I think if she's literally getting messages like that from spirits, pray that the Lord would keep her heart safe from these unverified spirits that she cannot verify come from God. You know? You know what I mean? I want you guys to pray for her soul, pray for the soul of now for her. I think it's just a case of getting over the hump of understanding these things, right? With the other guys, though, I think it's an issue of, I don't know if those guys are even saved. Okay? Pray for the salvation of those men that were in here that were saying salvation is only for Israel. They're preaching another gospel. For Elisheba, pray that the Lord would help open her eyes. I don't think she's far. She's much closer than those men that were in here, much closer. And I appreciate that she at least came in here and tried to listen. I don't know if it was her connection or what happened to her, but keep her in prayer. Keep them in prayer. You know what I mean? For real, for real. Yep. Yep. James, I appreciate the words. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I appreciate those words. My sister Lauren, as always, I appreciate it. Absolutely. If anybody wants to donate to my Cash App is in the it's in the scroll. Do you see that little thing that's scrolling that there? You can actually see my Cash App there if you guys want to donate. Oh, at least you had dropped out. You had dropped out. Ooh, it's a lot of feedback in the and now your screen has paused, so I don't know what's going on there.
I'm right here. Do you see me? You hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can. So Alicia, but real quick, so Hank, ooh, is there a way for you to put earbuds in because I can hear myself echoing?
Okay. What do you think it is?
Oh, give me 1 second. Give me just 1 second, Alicia. Just stick around. I'm just gonna put you in the back just for a second, but I'm gonna bring you back. All right, just give me a second. Just give me 1 moment, because there is a lot of echoing and it's really hard to. But I got you, Alicia. But just give me a moment. I'm gonna continue the conversation with Alicia, but y'all, you know, keep everybody in prayer that came in here. I appreciate all of you. If any one of you want to donate, here, I'll post it on the screen just in case the text is too small. Give me a second. So this should be my Cash App right here. Okay, if anybody wants to, you're not under obligation to do this, but if you feel led, this is my Cash App right there on the screen. So if anybody wants to donate, they're more than welcome to donate. I'm gonna end it here, though. I appreciate all of you. Alicia, but please stick around. And I appreciate all of you, every last one of you for the love and support that you show this channel. Please reshare this with your loved ones, anybody that you feel is trapped in this doctrine, and anybody that you feel would benefit from this. And with that being said, God bless you all. I hope this has edified someone out there. And until next time, take care. God bless you.